What's up, everybody? How y'all doing? I haven't done a live video in a while, so one kid's in the tub, one kid's FaceTiming his grandmother. Monica's with kid number, what kid is that? 2? Guys, listen, we just watched Dr. Dolittle. Just watched Dr. Dolittle, the new version with Robert Downey Jr. And so I really like the old version of Dr. Dolittle. Yesterday we watched Bed Knobs and Broomsticks with the kids. I don't know if you've ever watched Bed Knobs and Broomsticks. Please raise your hand. Put it in the comments, please. I'd love to know if there's any old timers in the group like me who like those old movies. So listen, we just watched Dr. Dolittle, the new version. My wife has read both of the Dr. Dolittle books to my kids, while I'm usually watching reruns of wrestling on my phone while we're trying to get them to bed, and she's reading them books. So what's up, Brad? What's up, Mindy, Melissa, Jerry? Thanks for jumping on, guys. So I want to tell you what the new version of Dr. Dolittle told me today. It is absolutely nothing like the book. It's absolutely nothing like the first movie. I think it got really bad reviews, which I actually liked it. My kids loved it. So I just want to tell you what I learned from that. Hey, Shannon. Hey, Ann. So the story that you end up telling in life may not be the original version of what you intended on telling. So what do I mean by that? So maybe you wanted to tell your story about how everything went great in life. Hey, JoJo, how you went to college, you went to school, you got a job, you worked there, you climbed your way up the ladder, you made it to boss or whatever you wanted to do. You had 2.5 kids, a nice house, 2 cars, vacation home, did whatever you want. Maybe that's the version of your story you wanted to tell. Okay? That's not quite the version I wanted to tell, but it's similar. Let's just say that. Okay, so then what happens? So then you have your plan. Oh, I can't do that one. You have your plan. You're going along, and you've written your plan down on this piece of paper, okay? This piece of paper says take action, mind shift, influence, and then what happens? Bam. Something happens and you tear your plan up. And so now you can't tell the version of your story that you wanted to tell because something came along and ripped it apart. And it may not have been that violent. Maybe it just ripped a little bit of it off. But let's just say it ripped the whole thing apart, okay? Let's just say you have to start from scratch. And you have to tell a completely different story than what you wanted to tell. Well, guess what? That's okay. So this version of Dr. Dolittle is not the version I grew up with. It's not the old man riding in a sea snail or whatever it is he rides in. You know, it's not. He doesn't have a British accent. This time he has a Scottish accent, which I think was absolutely horrible. Robert Downey Jr. did not pull off a Scottish accent very well. Guys, I just realized I thought I was in my Book Boss Tribe group, and I'm on my Facebook page. No big deal. Whatever. So it wasn't the version of what I grew up with. It was a new version. So we can say, I hardly did anything. Jason Wright's ridiculous. So we can say this will be my kids' version, even though we're probably going to watch the old one here in a little while, depending on, it's 4:30. We have time to watch that before they go to bed. So we're going to watch the new version, the old one for them. But what I learned from the new version is you can tell a different version of your story and it's still okay. People can still be entertained. You can still be moved. You can still be influenced by the new version. Just because your new version doesn't look like what your old version wanted to look like, okay? So maybe your new version looks like you started a business, it didn't work, you filed bankruptcy, you got sued twice, once by a friend. Maybe that's what your new version looks like. But guess what? Now your new version allows you to tell more people about the faith you have. Hey, Lizette. Hey, Jason. Allows you to tell more people about the faith you have. Allows you to tell more people about the God you serve. Allows you to tell more people about how life isn't over when bad things happen to you. It allows you to show your children that you don't have to dig a hole and stick your head in it when bad things happen, that you can still push forward and you can still move on with your life and you can still change other people's lives. And so that's what I want to tell you about today is if the new version of your story doesn't look like what the original was supposed to look like, it's quite all right. In fact, it's even more than okay. Maybe that's what you were living for in the first place. Yeah, Jojo, it helps you become who you really needed to be. So maybe you didn't need to be someone with a perfect life. I only know one person that lived a perfect life, and that was Jesus Christ. So maybe you didn't need to have the appearance of having a perfect life anyway. Maybe that's what was holding you back, was you were holding this coffee cup that I shouldn't have left in here yesterday. Maybe you're walking around holding this little coffee cup and you're trying to balance it in your hand and you're trying not to break it. This is your prized coffee cup. And you just know if you drop it, life is going to be over. But then one day you're walking along and you drop it and it shatters into a million pieces. And then you go and you find another coffee cup that you like even better. But if you'd have never dropped that one, you would not have known that there was something better out there. If you never hit hardship, you wouldn't know that you could get through it. You see, when the things that I've gone through in my life, and I haven't gone through anything crazy really, but the things that I've gone through in my life have allowed me to help other people go through those things. The things that people that I surround myself with, my mentors, my friends, the things that they've gone through in life have helped them help me and help other people go through those things in life. See, I have some friends that are real, and I have some mentors that are real, and they tell you not what you want to hear, but what you need to hear and what you should hear. See, I had to stop asking people. I figured out in my life a long time ago, there were certain people that I didn't need to ask advice from because they were just going to tell me what I wanted to hear. And I was going to go on and do what I wanted to anyway. So see, one time in my life, I went to college in Texas because my pride got hurt. I didn't get in PT school the first time. And I spent $10,000 to be a grad assistant. And it wasn't what I wanted to do. It wasn't what I liked. And it wasn't what it was supposed to be. And I paid that off 1 year after my wife and I got married. And I started it 7 years before we actually met. And so it took me 8 years to pay off $10,000 of money that I should have never had the debt because I didn't ask people that would tell me what I needed to hear. They just told me what I wanted to hear. And that's not their fault. It's mine because I didn't pray. I didn't ask. I didn't look for guidance. I just did it. But see, that's part of my story. So I didn't get into physical therapy school the first time. So I had to go to Texas. Well, now I can talk about that. I just had a conversation about that with a new coworker this week about some people I knew from out there that he knew. And so it helped us connect in a deeper way. We had some things in common. So it helped me. Even though, how long ago? That was almost 12, 13 years ago now. I had no idea that I would be talking to somebody about it later. Didn't care. And then I get to physical therapy school finally. And I think, okay, I'm here. I'm going to make it. I've never been one of these students that likes to put in a whole lot of effort. I just kind of, got through with B's and A's and B's and some C's every now and then without studying hard. So I get to PT school and I think it's going to be the same way. And bam, I think my first two tests, I made like a 68 and a 70. That's when I knew it was going to be rough. So I was trying to start learning how to study, was struggling in another class, was offered help multiple times. Here comes pride again. The Bible says before a fall becomes pride. Pride comes before the fall. Proverbs, go look it up. It says it multiple times. It's been true in my life every time. So pride hits. I failed 2 classes in physical therapy school. Not 1, but 2. I have to go to a review board. They tell me I probably need to see a psychiatrist, which was probably true. And try to change me from PT to OT. I don't do any of that. So I go back and they say, well, we'll let you come back part-time. So I do that. I take that course again. I pass it. Take another, I get through PT school. Okay. Then I get out. I don't want anybody to know I failed 2 classes ever. Don't want to tell anybody ever. So there again, my story, my original story that I had for myself didn't work out. Okay. So instead of going straight, I had to take another left and then take another right. Okay. So then I get out of PT school, and guess what I've let come into my life? Alcohol. I never drank. Peer pressure never bothered me, not one time, until I was 27, and I just started drinking and drinking and drinking and drinking and drinking. Okay? It almost cost me my family, everything. So I start all this drinking, and instead of studying for my test, I'm just drunk all the time. And so I go and I fail my license exam. There again, that wasn't my plan. I'm going to go pass it. I went to school. I spent all this money, spent $300,000. I'm going to pass this test. So I fail. Bam. Knock me on my butt again. So then I finally take it again. I pass it. Go through all this stuff. Get rid of this. Golly. A lot of stuff pop up when you're doing something. So I pass the test the second time. Me and my wife start talking. We get married. Looks like we're going to be happy. Life's good. Kind of got my temper under control. And then bam, one night, hey, Monica, I'm going to kill myself. Leave me alone. And then she, thankfully she didn't. I didn't. But there again, that wasn't what I wanted my story to be. I never wanted to have to say the words, I'm going to kill myself to somebody. But that's where I was. So I get some help, go to some classes, do some things, starts helping again, and then have a baby, temper hits again, bam, lose it again. Another left turn. And so my story never stays true to what I really wanted in life. But guess what happened? So I found Jesus. So he turned me around, 180. I started going down a different path. And so now, listen, guys, I'm not perfect by any means. Just go ask the people I work with now. They'll tell you. I have really bad days. I still struggle with my attitude some days. I've just noticed how like my temper's starting to kind of flare back up. Nothing bad, but just kind of stuff's getting under my skin. So I have to watch that. But this is what happens. I went through all these things. I went through not getting into PT school the first time and going to Texas and leaving there and having to pay $10,000 back, and fell into class in PT school and fell in the PT exam and being a drunk and being suicidal and losing my temper and all that stuff. I went through all of that stuff to get to a point where I can help people and get to a point where I can tell people about this. And now I don't care if anybody knows that I was addicted to pornography. I mean, I care. I wish I hadn't been, but that's part of my story. I can use it to tell you. I wish I could go back and change that, but I can't. So it's part of my story. It's who I am. It's okay for you to know that I was a drunk for 8 months. That's part of my story. It's okay for you to know that I was suicidal, that I failed some classes, that I failed a test. It's okay for me that wasn't in my original story, but it's in the version I have to tell now because it is my story. And it helps me relate to people. It helps me help people. And it helps me live on. And so I want to tell you, got a little serious there for a second, but the version of Dr. Dolittle that we just saw was way different than the original. It's way different than what the original author had in mind for his story. But it's still a good story. Still relates to people. Still made my kids laugh. Still made me smile. Still gave us something good to do together. Helped us come closer together on a time where we can't leave our house. Helped us do something on a time where it's storming and we can't go outside. It was good for what it was there for. And I want to tell you, your story is good. Whatever story you choose to tell about your life and however way you choose to tell it is going to help somebody one day. It may not be today, but it may be tomorrow or maybe the next day. You're going to meet people in life and you're going to say, man, I wish I hadn't gone through that. But then it's going to help you go through something else with them and help you teach them something. So I want you to make sure that you hang on to that and know that just because it's not your original story doesn't mean it's not the story you're supposed to tell. Guys, I love y'all and I'm proud of you. And there's Jack. Take care.